The silver towers of the Galactic Mathematical Institute pierced the artificial sky of Quantus Prime, their surfaces alive with shifting equations written in 1,000 alien scripts. Holograms floated between the spires, displaying theorems and proofs that would make any Earth mathematician weep. Inside the central atrium, scholars from across the galaxy gathered, crystalline Zenthari clicking in binary, fluid-based Korvax morphing their bodies into perfect geometric shapes, telepathic luminar transmitting calculations directly into the air. And then there was Dr. Elias Carter. The lone human stood near the back of the assembly hall, his simple datapad looking laughably primitive next to the alien tech around him. His two hands, only two, scrolled through notes while the multi-limbed scholars around him manipulated dozens of floating displays simultaneously. A Korvax scholar nearby rippled in amusement, its liquid form briefly taking the shape of a crude human stick figure before dissolving back into perfect spheres. "Today marks a historic moment," announced High Scholar Vrix-7, his prismatic body refracting light into the hall. The Zenthari's voice came not from a mouth, but from vibrating crystal facets, producing a sound like wind chimes made of glass. After 7 standard cycles of calculation, the collective presents the perfect universal equation. A massive hologram ignited above the assembly, showing an intricate web of symbols that made Elias's eyes water. The equation pulsed, its components shifting like living things. Murmurs of awe spread through the crowd. Even the normally silent luminar flashed approval in bursts of color. Elias frowned. Something was off. The PUI predicts all cosmic phenomena with fey accuracy, Vrix-7 continued. From quantum fluctuations to galactic rotations, no variable unaccounted for, no uncertainty remaining. The Zenthari's facets gleamed with pride. Behold, the end of unpredictability. The hologram began running simulations. Supernovae flared and died exactly on schedule. Planets orbited in flawless ellipses. Even black holes evaporated precisely as predicted. Then the simulation reached a small blue world. Earth. The equation stuttered. Numbers flickered. Variables inverted. The projection of Earth's future splintered into 1,000 contradictory outcomes. Wars that both did and didn't happen. Technologies invented and forgotten simultaneously. Population graphs that spiraled into nonsense. A luminar scholar pulsed emergency red. "Error, the model is breaking." Vrix-7's crystals darkened. "Impossible, recalibrate the human variables." The hologram reset, this time focusing solely on Earth. The equation ran again, and again it fractured when predicting human civilization. Stock markets that rose and fell at random. Political borders shifting for no logical reason. Art movements emerging from nowhere. Elias couldn't help it. He laughed. Every alien eye and sensor and photoreceptor turned toward him. Scholar ZL-Fey, a Korvax matriarch, flowed toward him, her surface tense with perfect geometric frustration. "Explain this disruption, Softkin." Elias wiped his eyes. "Your equation assumes all intelligent beings act rationally. We don't. All advanced species follow logical self-interest," chimed Vrix. "Then you've never met a human," Elias said. He tapped his datapad and sent a file to the central display. "Here is one of our greatest mathematicians proving that some problems can't be solved with perfect logic." The aliens stared at Kurt G. Fidel's incompleteness theorems. The luminar flashed panic colors. This suggests all systems contain unprovable truths." "Exactly," Elias said. "And humans. We're walking unprovable truths." Vrix-7's crystals vibrated violently. "This is irrational." Elias grinned. "No, it is just human." The assembly erupted. Korvax scholars lost their perfect shapes in distress. Luminar flashed warning signals, and the Zenthari, for the first time in their recorded history, experienced system errors. Tiny cracks appeared in HFY's crystalline form as his flawless logic strained against the concept. High Matriarch Larilia of the Corvax rose, her fluid body hardening into a spear of pure platinum in outrage. This contamination cannot stand. The Galactic Council must be informed. Human mathematics are clearly inferior. Dangerous, even. Elias crossed his arms. Says the species whose perfect equation just crashed when it met free will. The chamber fell silent. Then every display in the Institute flickered. Emergency alerts blared. A holographic message from the Galactic Council overlaid the broken equation. Emergency session convened. All human participation projects suspended pending review of irrational contamination risk. Elias sighed as the scholars around him recoiled like he carried a plague. The Corvax solidified into defensive barriers. The Luminar dimmed their lights to avoid attracting his attention. Only Vrix-7 remained, his cracked facets still processing. You broke the unbreakable, the Zenthari said quietly. Elias pocketed his datapad. Just wait until you see what we can fix. Outside the Institute's windows, the artificial stars of Quantus Prime shimmered, unaware that in a distant system called HFY spacetime had just begun to twist in ways no perfect equation could predict. The grand amphitheater of the Galactic Mathematical Institute hummed with the low-frequency vibrations of 100 different species conversing in their native tongues. Floating holograms displayed complex equations above each seating cluster, their alien symbols shifting and rearranging in real time as scholars debated. Dr. Elias Carter adjusted his collar, feeling the weight of countless eyes on him as he took his seat in the human-designated section, a single chair at the edge of the third tier. A Corvax scholar near him rippled with amusement, its fluid body forming temporary appendages to gesture at the equations. Observe, it burbled to its companions. The Sofkin attempts to comprehend true mathematics. The telepathic Luminar nearby pulsed with shared laughter, their bioluminescent patterns flashing in sync. Elias kept his expression neutral, fingers tapping against his battered datapad. He'd spent the last 6 hours running simulations, referencing human mathematical models with the Zenthari's so-called perfect universal equation. The results were interesting. High Matriarch Larilia of the Corvax rose to address the assembly, her gelatinous form stretching to tower over the gathered scholars. The Great Unification Theory project will proceed without Earth's participation, she announced, her voice resonating through the chamber. Human cognitive processes introduce unacceptable variables, their reliance on intuition. She paused, as if the word itself was distasteful. Contaminates pure logic. A murmur of agreement spread through the amphitheater. Scholar Vrix-7 of the Zenthari Collective stood, his crystalline facets refracting light in precise geometric patterns. Our equation accounts for all rational behavior, human decision. Making falls outside these parameters, they are by definition outliers. Elias couldn't help it, he snorted. Every alien eye in the chamber turned toward him. The silence was absolute. You find something amusing, Sofkin? Larilia's form quivered with barely contained irritation. Elias leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. Just wondering how many times you'll recalibrate your perfect equation before admitting it is missing something. Vrix-7's crystals darkened. Explain. You're trying to model the universe, Elias said, standing. But you've excluded the one species that invented irrational numbers, the ones who built civilizations on abstract art, music that follows no logical progression, and stories that change meaning depending on who is listening. He tapped his datapad, and a new equation flickered to life above him, a hybrid of human and Zenthari notation. Your math breaks down because you assume everything acts rationally, but the universe isn't rational, it is messy, and humans. He grinned. We're really good at messy. The Luminar pulsed in agitation. This is heresy. Mathematics is pure. It cannot accommodate. boss. Elias shrugged. Tell that to the fractal anomaly in HFY. Your model said it should collapse. It is expanding. A hush fell over the chamber. The Korvax scholars rippled uncertainly, their forms losing cohesion for a brief moment. Even Vrix-7's crystalline structure emitted a faint discordant hum. Matriarch Lyrilia's voice dripped with condescension. And I suppose your human mathematics can explain this? Elias met her gaze. Not yet, but I know yours can't. The amphitheater erupted. Alien voices overlapped in a cacophony of clicks, pulses, and resonant vibrations. A Zenthari scholar near the front stood abruptly, its facets flashing crimson. The council has spoken. Human participation in the Great Unification Project is forbidden. Their methods are untested, unreliable. Elias didn't flinch. Funny, that is exactly what the Vorax said about our warp drives, right before we outran them. The chamber fell silent again. High Matriarch Lyrilia's form solidified into something resembling a glare. You are dismissed, Dr. Carter. Take your illogical theories elsewhere. Elias tucked his datapad under his arm. Don't worry, he said, turning toward the exit. When your perfect equation fails again, you know where to find me. As the doors hissed shut behind him, the last thing he heard was Vrix-7's muttered click, barely audible over the rising debate. What if he is right? Outside, Elias exhaled, rolling his shoulders. The USN Pythagoras had already sent him the latest scans of the HFY anomaly. The numbers didn't lie. The Zenthari's perfect equation was about to face its greatest test. And humanity. Humanity was just getting started. The star system HFY had been quiet for 3 million years. A typical yellow dwarf with 6 planets, none of them remarkable. Until yesterday, the USN Pythagoras hung at the edge of the system, its sensors screaming. Captain Naomi Reyes gripped the armrests of her command chair as the deck vibrated beneath her. The view screen showed nothing unusual, just stars and the distant gleam of the system's gas giant. But the numbers didn't lie. Rear port, she snapped. Lieutenant Chen's fingers flew over his console. Space-time curvature increasing exponentially, Captain. Local gravity waves now at HFY baseline. Whatever this is, it's growing. Naomi's jaw tightened. Get me the Institute. On screen, the face of Scholar Vrix-7 appeared, his crystalline body flickering with blue irritation. Captain Reyes, we are occupied with the unification theory. This is not... HFY is tearing itself apart, Naomi interrupted. Your perfect equation predicted this system was stable. It's not. Vrix-7's facets dimmed. Impossible, the model accounted for all variables. A new voice cut in, Elias Carter, his face appearing in a secondary window. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Vrix, run the numbers again. The anomaly's growth rate matches nothing in your database. The Zenthari's crystals flared red. The equation is flawless. If your instruments detect instability, the error is in your primitive sensors. Naomi exchanged a glance with Elias. She had known him since the academy, could read the tension in his shoulders even through the screen. He was holding something back. Captain, Chen's voice sharpened. The Vorak mining colony on HFY just sent a distress call. Their orbital platforms are losing altitude. Gravitational shear. Naomi's stomach dropped. The Vorak were tough. A silicate-based species that mined black holes for fun. If they were screaming for help, patch me through to Overseer Grath. The Vorak's jagged face filled the screen. His stone-like features cracked with stress. Human vessel. Our stabilizers are failing. The planet's crust is fracturing. Your institute swore this system was safe. Behind Naomi, Ensign Rivera muttered, told you their math was shit. Naomi silenced him with a look. Overseer, we're detecting a space-time anomaly at the system center. Your colony is caught in its wake. Grath's eyes. glowing pits in his granite face, narrowed. The Xanthari assured us their equations accounted for all anomalies. On the other screen, Vrix-7 bristled. The perfect equation cannot err. The Vorak must have miscalculated there. Enough. Naomi slammed a fist on her armrest. People are dying. Elias, can we predict the anomalies' next phase? Elias was already scribbling on a datapad. Not with their model. It assumes perfect symmetry. But look at the sensor echoes. This thing's growing in bursts, like it's thinking. Vivrix, crystals flashed violet. That is not science. That is superstition. Elias ignored him. Naomi, the Pythagoras has experimental gravitic dampeners. We could try stabilizing the local field. With what power source? Vivrix's face snapped. Your ship's reactors are insufficient. Naomi smirked. We've got a little human ingenuity tucked away. Rivera, activate the Newton array. The ensign blinked. Ma'am, that's a prototype. The math's not even... Now, ensign. As Rivera worked, the view screen flickered. The distant stars seemed to stretch, then snap back. The Pythagoras groaned as artificial gravity stuttered. Captain, the anomaly just expanded. It's eating local space-time. Grath's image pixelated. Human, our outer platforms just... The transmission cut to static. Naomi's hands clenched. Elias, he was staring at his datapad, eyes wide. It's not random. The anomaly's reacting to us every time we probe it. It changes. Vrix-7's voice turned brittle. That violates all known physics. Yeah, Elias said softly. That's the point. The deck lurched violently. Alarms wailed as the Pythagoras listed to port. Newton array online, Rivera shouted. Fire it, Naomi ordered. A pulse of golden energy lanced from the Pythagoras, striking the writhing distortion at the system's heart. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the stars stopped twisting. The Vorak transmission crackled back to life. Grath's voice was uncharacteristically quiet. The shear stopped. How? Naomi exhaled. We used an untested human theory. Works better than your perfect math. On-screen Vrix-7's crystals darkened to near black. This is impossible. Your intervention should have exacerbated the instability. Elias leaned forward. Unless your equations miss something fundamental, something human. The Xanthari didn't answer for the first time in his species' history. A scholar had no rebuttal. Naomi allowed herself a small smile. Pythagoras to Vorak colony. You're welcome. Grath's reply was grudging. Your methods are unorthodox, but effective. As the screens cleared, Chen whistled low. Captain, the anomalies still there, just calmer. Naomi nodded. Then we're not done yet. Elias, get to work. I want answers before this thing wakes up again. Elias was already scribbling, his eyes alight with something the Xanthari would never understand. Curiosity. The lab lights flickered as the anomaly's distortion waves reached Qantas Prime. Elias Carter's fingers flew across the glass panel, leaving smudged equations in their wake. Around him, the pristine logic matrices of the Xanthari collective glowed with cold perfection and complete uselessness. You're wasting time, Softskin. Vrix-7's crystalline form pulsed with disapproval. His facets projected the failing stability projections over Elias's workspace. The equation accounts for all variables. Elias didn't look up, except the ones that matter. His stylus scratched through a Xanthari probability matrix, replacing it with something far messier. Human outside the observation window, the sky pulsed with unnatural colors. The HFY anomaly wasn't collapsing as predicted, it was growing. Its fractal edges chewing through space-time like fire through paper. Alarms began wailing through the Institute's halls. Explain your modifications, demanded a new voice. Matriarch Lorilia flowed into the lab, her liquid body rippling with tension. Behind her, 3 Korvax logicians formed perfect geometric shapes of concern. Elias finally straightened, rolling his stiff shoulders. Your models assume rational actors, perfect knowledge, instantaneous adaptation. He tapped his temple. Humanity's never had that luxury. Vrix-Fiz's prismatic glow dimmed. You're introducing uncertainty variables. Wuss, Elias grinned. He flipped the display toward them. I'm adding human psychology, game theory, Bayesian guesswork. The equations shimmered, half sensory precision, half human scrawl. Because whatever's happening out there, it is not playing by your rules. Lorilia's surface tension broke momentarily. This is heresy against pure mathematics. A new voice crackled from the comm panel. And yet here we are. Captain Naomi Reyes' face appeared, the bridge of the USN Pythagoras visible behind her. Vorak colony reports space-time shear at their outer habitats. Your flawless prediction said that was impossible. The lab fell silent except for the creaking of stressed metal. The Institute's structural integrity fields were straining against the anomaly's reach. Elias turned back to his work. Give me 10 minutes with the Pythagoras sensor logs. There is a pattern here. You'll contaminate the data. Vrix-Fiz's voice glitched with distress. Naomi's smile was all teeth. Oh, we contaminated it 6 ways from Sunday. Our probes used randomized scanning intervals, human intuition protocol. Elias barked a laugh as the data flooded in. That is why your models failed. You assumed perfect observation. His hands moved in a blur, weaving the chaotic human data points into the equations. The anomaly reacts to being measured, like a quantum particle with attitude. The Zenthari collective shuddered, their crystalline forms emitting distress harmonics. Lorilia's surface rippled violently. You're suggesting the phenomenon has awareness? Not awareness. Elias wiped sweat from his brow. Just that your perfect math created blind spots. He gestured at the new model taking shape. Humanity's been dealing with observer effects since we first wondered if a tree makes sound falling alone in the forest. A deep chime echoed through the Institute. The anomaly's growth rate had just exceeded critical thresholds. Somewhere in the distance, a containment field failed with a sound like shattering glass. Vrix's facets flickered rapidly as he processed Elias's blasphemous equations. This accounts for the Vorak colony's survival. Naomi leaned closer to her pickup. Say again, the mining outpost. Their irregular shift changes created unpredictable observation gaps. Vrix's voice held something new. Wonder. Your irrationality shielded them. Elias didn't pause his work. Now imagine that on cosmic scales, your perfect equations were making it worse by trying to perfectly predict it. Lorilia's form quivered at the edges. This goes against 12 millennia of mathematical tradition. Another alarm sounded. The anomaly's boundary had crossed into the Quantus system. Elias's fingers flew faster, his equations growing wilder. Tradition's great until reality bites back. He threw a final variable into the mix, a human one. There, try that. The Zenthari hesitated. Then, with what seemed like physical pain, Vrix-Fez transmitted the modified equations to the Institute's mainframe. The projections shifted instantly. The anomaly's expansion slowed. Not much, just a fractional hesitation in its growth pattern. But enough. Naomi whooped over the comms. Pythagoras confirms. Local spacetime metric stabilizing by 0.003%. Elias sagged against the console. Told you, sometimes you need a little madness. Vrix's fistuline form shimmered with unfamiliar patterns. This should not work. But it does. Lorilia's voice was quieter now. Her form had lost some of its perfect symmetry. All this time, we were missing. The human variable, Elias finished. He gestured at the still, growing anomaly outside. Now, who wants to help me really fix this? The lab erupted in motion. Xanthari crystals rearranged themselves into new configurations. Korvax logicians flowed into support positions. And for the first time since humanity arrived at the Institute, no one complained about the coffee Elias spilled on the quantum processors. The USN Pythagoras hung in the void like a defiant speck against the swirling maw of the HFY anomaly. Captain Naomi Reyes gripped the armrests of her command chair as the ship's stabilizers whined under the strain. The bridge crew worked in tense silence, their faces lit by the erratic glow of the space-time distortion filling the main viewer. "Report," Naomi ordered, her voice cutting through the hum of overworked systems. "Stabilizers at fake capacity," Lieutenant Chen called out from engineering. "The Carter equations are holding, but just barely. Another 5 minutes of this, and we'll start losing containment." On the secondary display, the alien fleet maintained a cautious distance. The crystalline Xanthari ships pulsed with disapproval, their perfect geometric formations, a silent judgment of human recklessness. The Korvax fluid vessels rippled with unease, their surfaces reflecting the anomaly's chaotic light. "Captain," Comms Officer Park said, "we're being hailed by the Vorak Overseer again." Naomi sighed. "Put him through." Overseer Grath's jagged face filled the screen, his obsidian, like skin cracking with irritation. "Human vessel, you are violating Council Directive Faye. Cease your unauthorized interference immediately." Naomi didn't blink. "Our interference is the only thing keeping that anomaly from swallowing your mining colony whole, Overseer." The perfect equation predicted. "Wrong," Naomi interrupted. "Your equation failed. Ours is working. That is all the math you need." Grath's mandibles twitched. Behind him, a dozen Vorak technicians scurried about their bridge, their multiple limbs manipulating holograms that kept flickering unpredictably. The anomaly was playing havoc with their systems, while the Pythagoras' older, simpler tech hummed along. On the science station, Ensign Ruiz suddenly stiffened. "Captain, the anomaly's outer boundary is stabilizing. Carter's model was right. The irrationality coefficient is balancing the quantum fluctuations." Naomi allowed herself a small smile. "Tell Dr. Carter he is a genius." "Actually," came Elias's voice over the intercom, "I'm just adequately caffeinated." The mathematician's face appeared on another screen, his lab coat stained with what looked like 3 different colors of alien nutrient paste. "How is our baby holding up?" "Your baby is trying to tear space-time a new one," Naomi said, "but we're containing it barely." Elias grinned. "Then it is time for Phase 2. He tapped at his console, "sending new parameters to your station now. We need to introduce a controlled instability to the containment field." Chen looked up sharply. "That goes against every standard protocol." "Exactly," Elias said. "Standard protocols are based on their math. We're using mine." Naomi studied the new equations scrolling across her screen. They looked like madness, chaotic variables dancing with orderly constants, probabilities instead of certainties. She made her decision. Do it. The crew worked quickly, their hands flying over controls as they implemented Elias's counterintuitive solution. Outside, the Pythagoras' stabilizers pulsed with uneven rhythms, their emissions deliberately desynchronized. The alien ship sensors flared in alarm as their readings went wild. "What are you doing?" Grath demanded, his voice rising for the first time. "You're making it worse." "No," Naomi said calmly. "We're making it human." The anomaly shuddered for one heart. Stopping moment, the entire bridge held its breath. Then, like a sigh, the swirling distortion began to smooth out, its violent edges softening into predictable patterns. "It is working," Ruiz whispered. "The Carter model is correct. The anomaly is stabilizing." On the main viewer, the Vorak Overseer's face went through a series of expressions no member of his species had likely ever displayed before: confusion, disbelief, and finally something that might have been awe. This defies all known laws. Matriarch Lorilia's voice crackled over the comm, her fluid form bubbling with agitation as her ship joined the channel. Naomi leaned back in her chair, allowing herself a small, satisfied smile. "Or," she said, "your laws were never complete." The bridge crew exchanged glances, their shoulders relaxing as the ship's systems reported decreasing strain. The alien fleet remained silent, their perfect formations now broken as individual vessels adjusted positions, their captains clearly unsettled. Elias's face reappeared on screen, his hair sticking up at odd angles. "Told you it would work. You also told me coffee would help me understand 11-dimensional math," Naomi countered. "I'm still waiting on that one." "Different kind of miracle," Elias said with a shrug. "But, look, we just proved human intuition can solve problems their perfect logic couldn't. That has got to count for something." On the viewer, Overseer Grath was deep in conversation with his technicians. After a moment, he turned back to the screen. His voice, when he spoke, carried a grudging respect. "Human vessel, your methods are, but your results are acceptable." Naomi arched an eyebrow. "High praise from a Vorak." Grath's mandibles twitched again, but this time it might have been the beginnings of a smile. "Do not expect us to admit your superiority, Captain, but perhaps we were premature in dismissing your mathematics." In the background, Matriarch Lorilia's form rippled violently. "This is heresy. The perfect equation cannot be wrong." Elias leaned into the comm pickup. "It is not wrong, Matriarch. It is just incomplete. Like all of us." He tapped his temple. "The human mind fills in the gaps." The Korvax leader recoiled as if struck. Around her, the other alien representatives shifted uncomfortably. Only Grath seemed unmoved, his dark eyes studying the now stable anomaly with new interest. "Captain Reyes," he said at last, "your species continues to surprise. You break everything, then fix it better." Naomi smiled. "That is not a bug, Overseer, it is a feature." Outside, the stars burned steady once more, their light undisturbed by spacetime's turmoil. The Pythagoras held its position, a lone human ship surrounded by doubting aliens, its stabilizers humming contentedly as they maintained the delicate balance between order and chaos. The great crystalline dome of the Galactic Council chamber hummed with tension. Floating holograms of 100 alien species flickered in the air, their representatives watching in silence as Elias Carter stepped onto the central platform. His boots clicked against the polished floor, the only human sound in a room built for beings who moved without footsteps, who thought in perfect geometries. Elias adjusted his collar, feeling the weight of every eye-stalk, sensory orb, and prismatic gaze locked onto him. The air smelled of ozone and something metallic, the scent of alien technology pushed to its limits. Behind him, the massive projection of the HFY anomaly pulsed, its fractal edges writhing like a living thing. "You have one solar cycle to present your findings," intoned the Grand Archivist, its voice a chorus of harmonic frequencies. The being was a Zenthari elder, its crystalline form refracting light into intricate patterns that hurt human eyes to follow. "The Council does not appreciate theatrics." Elias smirked. "Good thing this isn't theater." He tapped his datapad, and the anomaly's projection shifted. Human equations scrawled across its surface, jagged and asymmetrical next to the sleek alien formulae. "You called our math inferior, said we contaminated your perfect systems with our, what was it? Emotional guesswork." High Matriarch Lorilia of the Korvax rippled in her containment sphere, her fluid form darkening. "Your species operates on unpredictability. That is not science. Neither is ignoring reality because it doesn't fit your models." Elias swiped his hand through the projection. The anomaly split open, revealing layers of calculations, human and alien side by side. "Your perfect universal equation failed because it assumes every conscious being acts rationally. But humans don't. We gamble, We take leaps of faith. We change our minds halfway through a thought. He pointed at a swirling cluster of variables. And guess what? So does the universe. Scholar Vrix-7's crystalline body flickered, its facets dimming and brightening in rapid succession. You suggest cosmic irrationality. No, I'm saying your definition of rational was too small. Elias zoomed in on a single equation, a human one, scribbled in his own handwriting. See this, Bayesian probability, the math of uncertainty. You dismissed it as primitive, but it is the reason our ships didn't get torn apart near the anomaly. We didn't assume we knew everything, we adapted. A murmur spread through the chamber. The Luminar delegates pulsed with bioluminescent agitation, their telepathic whispers filling the air like static. One floated forward, its orb, like body contracting. Your methods are chaotic, unstable. Captain Naomi Reyes' voice crackled over the chamber's comms. And yet, we're the ones who stabilized your damn anomaly. The USN Pythagoras' logo flashed on the main screen. While your ships were recalculating their perfect trajectories, we rigged a solution in 6 hours with duct tape. Elias chuckled. Humanity's secret weapon, that and coffee. He turned back to the council. You wanted a unified theory. Here it is. The universe doesn't care about your perfect logic. Black holes spin unpredictably. Quantum particles exist in multiple states at once, and humans. He spread his hands. We thrive in the chaos. The projection shifted again, showing the moment the Pythagoras stabilizers engaged. Alien equations shattered like glass as human calculations interwove with them, filling the gaps. The anomaly's violent fluctuations smoothed into a stable pattern. Grand Archivist's crystalline form shuddered. A hairline fracture appeared along one facet. This contradicts 12 millennia of Zenthari doctrine. Elias nodded. Yeah, it hurts, doesn't it? Being wrong. He lowered his voice. But that is how you learn. For the first time in recorded history, the entire Zenthari collective experienced a system crash. One by one, their crystalline forms dimmed, entering emergency meditation to process the cognitive dissonance. Vrix-7's voice glitched, his words stuttering. You mean, our perfection was the flaw? Naomi's laughter echoed through the chamber. Told you they'd blue screen. Elias approached the stunned scholar, placing a hand, warm, organic, imperfect, against his cold crystal surface. Welcome to humanity, Vrix, where the best answers come from the wrong questions. The Quavax matriarch's fluid form boiled with agitation. This is heresy. No, said Overseer Grath, his Vorak vocal cords grinding out the words reluctantly. The massive reptilian had been silent until now, his armored plates clicking as he shifted. It is accurate. The admission seemed to pain him. The human model predicted the anomaly's behavior where ours failed. This is unacceptable, but factual. The chamber erupted. 100 species arguing in clicks, hums, and telepathic bursts. Elias watched the chaos unfold with a grin. He caught Naomi's eye on the comm screen. She winked. Told you they'd lose their minds. Elias turned back to the council as the noise died down. You wanted to unify the galaxy under one perfect theory. Here is the truth. Perfection doesn't exist. The universe is messy, unpredictable, beautiful. He tapped his chest. Just like us. Grand Archivist's fracture spread slightly, and you suggest we incorporate this human irrationality into our sciences. Not suggest. Elias pulled up the final simulation, a hybrid equation, human and alien symbols woven together. The anomaly resolved perfectly under its logic. This is the only way forward. Your precision, our adaptability combined. The silence stretched. Then, one by one, the holograms of alien delegates flickered, approval signals. Even the Quavax matriarch's protests died as the evidence became undeniable. Vrix-7's crystals slowly brightened back to full luminescence. Fascinating. The words sounded alien in his voice. You have given us a new variable. Elias grinned. Call it the Carter principle. Naomi's voice cut in. Or just admit humans were right again. The chamber's tension broke into something resembling laughter, or at least the alien equivalents. Overseer Grath's massive head tilted. You humans, you break everything, then fix it better. Elias winked at him. That is not a bug, Grath. It is a feature. The great silver doors of the Galactic Council chamber hissed open, revealing Elias Carter standing alone at the center of a circular platform. Around him in tiered seating rose hundreds of alien scholars, crystalline Zenthari refracting light in agitated patterns, fluid Quarvax bubbling with tension, luminar thought, orbs pulsing rapid calculations. The air hummed with disapproval. Elias tapped his datapad. A massive hologram flared to life above him, a swirling hybrid equation, combining Zenthari precision with human chaos theory. Alien symbols interlocked with messy human scrawl, the entire structure pulsing like a living thing. This, Elias said, voice echoing, is why your perfect equation failed. High Matriarch Lorilia's fluid form rippled violently. You expect us to believe our millennia of flawless logic were incomplete. No, Elias zoomed the hologram to a single branching point where alien math turned rigid. I expect you to see where your perfection became a cage. A stunned silence fell, then crack. Scholar Vrix-7's crystalline body fractured along one facet. His voice emerged glitching. The probabilities. Captain Naomi Reyes' voice cut through the chamber speakers. Wezen Pythagoras to council, anomaly stabilization at Fei, human modified equations holding. Overseer Grath's armored plates ground together. A Vorak sign of distress. This violates 14 core axioms. Elias grinned. Welcome to applied human mathematics. He gestured, and the equation morphed, showing how human illogical concepts like intuition and adaptability created flexible solution paths alien rigidity couldn't perceive. The chamber erupted. Zenthari scholars flickered through color spectra, never before recorded, their equivalent of screaming. Quarvax mathematicians split into conflicting fluid streams, debating in bubbling shouts. A luminar elder's thought, orb actually burst, spraying neural mist crash frick. Face shattered completely, his crystalline form collapsing into thousands of glittering shards. The other Zenthari froze mid-flicker. Did you just break a Zenthari? Naomi asked over comms. Elias rubbed his neck. Maybe. The silence stretched. Then, click a single surviving fragment of Vrix. Faye vibrated on the floor. His voice emerged, quiet but clear. The Carter principle. All alien eyes turned to the shard. Sometimes, Vrix remnant continued, logic needs madness. The words hung in the air like a detonated bomb. Matriarch Lorilia's form stilled. Then, with visible effort, her fluid body reshaped into a perfect humanoid hand and gave a thumbs up. The Quarvax concede. Overseer Grath's armor plates locked tight. The Vorak do not concede. We acknowledge temporary merit in human methods. Elias snorted. That is the nicest thing a Vorak's ever said about us. Naomi's laughter crackled over comms. Pythagoras receiving updated nav data from Qantas Prime. Looks like we're leading the next anomaly survey. The hologram above Elias shifted again, now showing a joint research initiative, human and alien equations woven together. The Galactic Institute's Grand Archivist, a many-limbed Telthan, slowly inked the title at the top. The Carter Unified Model. Elias blinked. Wait, they're naming it after human, Grath boomed. Your vessel departs in 6 cycles. Try not to break more of the galaxy. As the chamber dissolved into chaotic debate, Zenthari attempting to reform Vrix-7 Quarvax, practicing human gestures, luminar orbs bobbing in what might have been laughter. Elias pocketed his datapad. Naomi's voice softened. "You did it, Doc." Elias looked at the swirling equations, the arguing aliens, the glittering remains of shattered assumptions. He exhaled. "Nah," he said, walking toward the exit. "We just got started." Outside, the stars burned cold and endless. Somewhere among them, the next impossible problem waited. And for the first time in galactic history, the aliens were glad humans would be there to break it first.